The icy winds of the northern peaks howled through the mountains, carrying with them the whispers of life and death. Atop an ancient pine, a majestic golden eagle named Solara surveyed her domain, her sharp eyes scanning the snow-covered valley below. She had ruled these skies for 2 decades, a silent guardian of the wild. But that morning, something unusual caught her attention. Down by the edge of a treacherous ravine, the fresh snow was stained with crimson. A lifeless form lay motionless, a mother grizzly bear, her body broken from a desperate battle against a mountain lion. The tracks in the snow told a tragic story of survival, a fight that had left no victor. Yet, it was not the sight of death that made Solara's talons tighten around the branch. It was the sound, a fragile, desperate wail cutting through the wind. She turned her head sharply, focusing on the soft cries coming from beneath the cliffs. There were 3 of them. Solara's vision was unmatched, she could spot a mouse from 1,000 feet away. But when she finally located the source of the sound, her heart, hardened by years of survival, fluttered for the first time in her life. Huddled together in a shallow cave, just beneath the jagged rocks, were 3 tiny bear cubs, barely a few weeks old. Their small bodies trembled in the cold, their fur dusted with snow. Their eyes barely opened to the harsh world they had been born into. They had no mother to warm them, no protection from the bitter mountain night. Solara had witnessed many young creatures perish in these mountains. It was the way of nature, only the strongest survived. And yet, something in her heart refused to look away. Most eagles would have turned and flown off in search of easier prey. But Solara was not like most eagles. She hesitated. And in that moment, as the storm clouds gathered over the peaks, she made a choice that no eagle had ever made before. That first night beneath Solara's wings changed everything. The tiny cubs, who had once shivered violently, nestled into the warmth of her golden feathers, their soft whimpers fading into gentle breaths. Solara, usually a ruthless hunter, found herself keeping watch over them, her sharp eyes scanning the darkness for danger. She had chosen them, and she would protect them. The first few weeks tested every instinct she had. She wasn't a bear, yet she had to become one for them. Winter's trial. The mountain nights were unforgiving, the cold biting through even the thickest of fur. Solara shielded them beneath her wings, absorbing the icy winds herself. When their tiny bodies trembled from hunger, she made a choice that defied all logic. She began hunting for them. The hunt for survival. Solara brought them small prey, fish from the frozen river, and even softened meat with her talons so they could eat. She learned that each cub was different. Flint, the biggest, was always the first to try new food. Ember, gentle and patient, waited for Solara to feed them piece by piece. Echo, the smallest, struggled the most, requiring special care to stay strong. As weeks turned to months, Solara realized that raising bear cubs was not just about feeding them, it was about teaching them how to survive. Lessons of the mountain. When thunder rumbled through the peaks, the cubs huddled together, afraid. Solara spread her wings over them, showing them that fear could be mastered. Each time they stepped out of the cave, she encouraged them, calling softly from a nearby perch. Flint was the first to venture out, bold and eager. Ember followed, cautious yet determined. Echo hesitated but refused to be left behind. They watched her every move, mirroring her behavior. And something astonishing began to happen. The cubs started to adopt the ways of an eagle. They lifted their heads to the wind, sensing changes in the air as Solara did. They listened closely to the forest sounds, learning to differentiate between safety and danger. Most remarkably, they began mimicking her calls, a soft, strange sound that was neither bear nor bird but something entirely new. A language only they understood. By the time the first snowfall of their second winter arrived, Flint, Ember, and Echo were no longer helpless cubs. They were something more. 2 years passed. Lessons from the story of Solara and the 3 bear cubs. The story of Solara, the golden eagle, and the 3 orphaned bear cubs is more than just an extraordinary tale of survival. It is a powerful reminder of the boundless nature of love, trust, and the courage to break barriers. This story teaches us profound lessons about life, connection, and the strength found in the most unexpected places. 1. Love and family go beyond blood. Family isn't defined by who we are born to, but by who chooses to love us. Solara was not the cubs' mother by birth, yet she became their protector, their teacher, and their guide. True family is not always about blood ties, it's about who is there for us when we need them the most. Just as Solara chose to care for the cubs, we, too, can choose to extend kindness and love beyond traditional relationships. In life, the people or creatures who love, guide, and protect us, no matter how different they may be, are the ones who truly matter. 2. Trust can break barriers. Trust is the foundation of miracles. In the wild, bears and eagles are not meant to coexist, yet Solara and the cubs formed a bond built on trust. The bears trusted Solara's guidance, and in return, she placed her faith in them when she was at her weakest. Their trust not only saved their lives but also created something new. Something never seen before in nature. If trust can unite 2 species who were meant to be enemies, imagine what it could do for humanity. If we set aside fear and prejudice, we can build connections that transcend expectations. 3. Learning from those who are different can make us stronger. Wisdom is found in the most unexpected places. The 3 bears did not just grow into ordinary grizzlies, they became something more. They learned how to read the wind, sense danger, and listen to the world in ways no other bear could, all because they opened their hearts to a teacher unlike any other. Instead of rejecting what was different, they embraced it, and it made them stronger, wiser, and more extraordinary than any bear before them. In life, our greatest teachers may come from places we least expect. Be open to learning from those who are different, for they may offer insights and wisdom that change your world. 4. Strength is found in unity. Together, we are greater than the sum of our parts. The moment when Flint, Ember, and Echo worked together to save Solara was a turning point. Each one played a role, Flint as the guardian, Ember as the guide, and Echo as the communicator. They combined their unique strengths to achieve something no single bear could do alone. This lesson applies to all of us. No one is strong alone, but together, we can achieve the impossible. Collaboration, teamwork, and trust in others make us stronger than we ever could be on our own. 5. Small acts of kindness can create ripples of change. One moment of compassion can change the world forever. Solara could have ignored the cubs' cries. She could have flown away, following the laws of nature. Instead, she chose kindness, and that one decision led to a chain reaction that changed the mountains forever. The cubs, once helpless, grew into guardians of the wild, extending their care to injured eagles and lost creatures in need. A single act of kindness does not just stop at one moment, it continues, grows, and transforms the world in ways we cannot imagine. 6. We must be willing to help the next generation. The cycle of life continues when we pass down what we have learned. The greatest moment in this story wasn't just when the cubs saved Solara. It was when they heard the cry of another orphaned cub and, without hesitation, rushed to help, just as they had once been saved. This is the true legacy of love and learning. It must be passed on. What we teach, how we love, and the kindness we show must continue beyond us. The greatest impact we can have is ensuring that others carry forward the goodness we share. 7. The impossible becomes possible when we believe. What seems impossible today may be reality tomorrow. Who would have believed that bears could learn from an eagle? That a bird could raise cubs, and those cubs would one day save her life? Nature itself changed because one eagle believed in something greater than survival. This lesson applies to all of us. What we think is impossible today might just be the first step towards something extraordinary. If we dare to believe in new possibilities, in breaking barriers, and in changing the world, we might just achieve the unimaginable. Final thoughts, a story that stays with us. The tale of Solara and her cubs is more than just a heartwarming legend. It's a story of love. It's a story of breaking boundaries. It's a story of learning, trust, and defying the impossible. It reminds us that life's greatest miracles happen when we open our hearts, when we choose love over fear, and when we trust in something bigger than ourselves. If an eagle and 3 bears can do the impossible, what's stopping us from doing the same? What lessons did this story teach you? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like, share to spread this powerful message. Subscribe for more inspiring wildlife stories. The 3 cubs had grown into young, powerful bears, their bodies strong from climbing the highest ridges and chasing the swiftest prey. But they were not like other bears. Their unusual abilities. They felt the wind like an eagle, pausing before an avalanche struck. They listened to the sky, sensing storms before they arrived. They could communicate in ways no other bears could. Their strange eagle-like calls echoing through the valleys. The other animals of the mountain noticed. The wolves watched in curiosity. The mountain goats followed their lead when danger was near. And most importantly, they never strayed far from Solara. But one fateful morning, their bond would be tested like never before. Solara swooped down from her usual perch, her wings spreading wide. But something was wrong. A sharp cry escaped her beak as she faltered, her wing badly injured from a battle against another eagle. She struggled to fly. She tumbled toward the jagged rocks below. And in that moment, everything changed. The crisp morning air was pierced by Solara's cry, a sharp, painful sound that echoed off the cliffs. The golden eagle, once the undisputed ruler of the sky, faltered mid-flight. Her injured wing betrayed her, and for the first time in her life, she lost control. She was falling down toward the jagged rocks below. Above, Flint, Ember, and Echo, the 3 bears she had raised, stood frozen, their keen senses picking up on every moment of her descent. And then, something incredible happened. Instinct transformed into action. Flint was the first to move. His body, now a towering force of muscle and fur, reacted not like a bear, but like an eagle. Instead of charging forward on all 4s as a bear should, he lowered his body, keeping his weight balanced against the wind just as Solara had taught him. He felt the air, his instincts reading the currents the way she had shown them since cubhood. Ember and Echo, without hesitation, followed his lead. They weren't just running, they were moving with precision, adjusting their steps in sync with the wind. As Solara spiraled downward, her injured wing failing her, Flint positioned himself directly beneath her falling form, his dark fur shining in the morning sun. Ember and Echo took higher positions on the ridge, anticipating what they had learned through years of watching their eagle mother soar. And then, they called out. Not with a bear's roar, but with a sound that no other bears in the wild had ever made. A cry that mirrored an eagle's call. It rippled through the valley, an urgent signal meant to be understood by those who ruled the sky. For the first time in history, 3 bears spoke the language of eagles. A call that shook the wilderness. Miles away, the other eagles heard it. Their sharp eyes turned to the source of the call. They recognized it. It was one of their own. But it was coming from the ground. In a blur of golden and brown wings, a dozen eagles lifted off their perches, soaring toward the mountain ridge where the strange sound had emerged. As they arrived, they witnessed the impossible. 3 massive bears, moving like the wind, guiding their falling eagle mother toward safety. The eagles understood instantly. They didn't question the impossible nature of what they were seeing. They only reacted. The rescue that defied nature. As Solara tumbled through the air, her children worked together to save her. Flint stood firm, bracing himself at the exact spot where she was about to fall. Ember kept her eyes locked on the wind, signaling when to move. Echo continued his haunting eagle call, guiding the others. The wild eagles above dove in unison, using their powerful wings to create a current of air beneath her, slowing her descent. And just before she hit the ground, Flint caught her. His massive shoulders absorbed the impact as Solara landed against his thick fur, his strength breaking her fall. The mountain fell silent. The other eagles circled above, watching. Ember and Echo rushed forward, their massive paws gentle as they nudged their mother with concern. Solara, dazed but alive, turned her golden eyes upward, meeting the gaze of the 3 cubs she had raised as her own. In that moment, she understood. The lessons she had taught them, the patience, the precision, the trust in the wind, had saved her life. She had turned 3 lost cubs into something the world had never seen before. They weren't just bears anymore. They were something more. A legacy of healing. Solara needed time to recover. And her children refused to leave her side. For weeks, they stayed by her, guarding her with the same protection she had once given them as cubs. But something even more extraordinary began to happen. Other injured eagles, ones who would have normally hidden away to die alone, began appearing near the bear's shelter. The other eagles had seen what had happened on that ridge. They had witnessed the bears speaking their language. And somehow, in a way that defied all natural laws, they trusted these 3 bears. One by one, they approached, wounded, weak, seeking help. And Flint, Ember, and Echo, who had once been helpless cubs themselves, answered the call. They did what Solara had once done for them. Using their gentle strength, they held the injured eagles carefully, allowing them to rest without fear. They shared food, offering their catches to birds who were too weak to hunt. And when it was time for an eagle to fly again, they would stand on the ridge, listening to the wind, and encourage them with the very same calls that once guided them as cubs. A new era in the wild. 2 years passed. The 3 cubs, now fully grown, had become legends. Flint, the guardian of the sky, he could predict the winds, warning others of incoming storms long before they arrived. Ember, the silent healer, she had become a protector of all creatures, known for helping injured animals find safety. Echo, the bridge between worlds, he had perfected the eagle's call, speaking in a way that no bear ever had before. They were no longer just bears. They were the children of the sky. And their story was just beginning. The cycle continues. One crisp autumn morning, as the sun painted the valley gold, a new cry echoed through the mountains. It was a small, trembling sound, one that Flint, Ember, and Echo knew all too well. They paused, listening. It was the cry of a bear cub. An orphan. Alone. Without hesitation. They moved. Solara, watching from her favorite perch, let out a soft cry, one of approval. She had once made an impossible choice. And now, her children were doing the same. They followed the sound, moving swiftly, their hearts guiding them. And when they found the cub, tiny, lost, and afraid, Flint lowered his massive head. Gently, he nudged the cub with his nose. And then, to everyone's amazement, the little bear responded. Not with a roar. Not with a whimper. But with a sound that was neither bear nor eagle, but something entirely new. A voice that carried both earth and sky. And so, the cycle continued. Final thoughts, a story that lives on. The tale of Solara and her cubs is more than just a story about nature. It's about breaking boundaries, It's about choosing love over instinct. It's about creating something new, something extraordinary. Because sometimes, the most incredible miracles don't just happen once. They keep giving, shaping the world, one heart at a time.